I got home earlier than usual that fateful Friday. The plan was simple. Surprise Lisa with a home-cooked dinner, something we hadn't shared in a while. As I turned the key in the lock, I felt a pang of excitement. Little did I know it would be the last moment of happiness I'd feel for a long time. Pushing the door open, I was greeted by an eerie silence. No TV blaring in the background. No sound of Lisa's laughter, nothing. My steps echoed as I walked through the hallway. I reached the kitchen, set down the groceries, and noticed something strange. The door to our bedroom, usually closed, was slightly ajar. Curiosity piqued. I made my way towards it, each step heavier than the last. As I nudged the door open, my heart froze. There, tangled in our sheets, was my best friend, Jack, with Lisa. They were too engrossed in their betrayal to notice me standing there, eyes wide with disbelief. For a moment, I couldn't move. My brain struggled to process the scene before me. Then, a torrent of emotions hit me. Rage, hurt, betrayal. I felt my body heat up, my fists clenched involuntarily. What the hell is going on here? My voice, a mix of fury and pain, cut through the room like a knife. Jack scrambled to get dressed, his face a mask of guilt and panic. Lisa, tears streaming down her face, stammered, "Ethan, I can explain." But I didn't want to hear it. Not now, not ever. The sight of them together burned into my memory, an indelible scar. I turned on my heel and left the room, my mind a chaotic swirl of thoughts. I needed air, space, anything to escape the suffocating reality I just stumbled into. As I slammed the front door behind me, one thing was clear. This wasn't over. Not by a long shot. Out on the street, the evening air did little to cool my boiling blood. I walked aimlessly, each step echoing with the question, why? How could Lisa do this to me? And with Jack of all people. It was in those wandering hours that a plan began to form. A plan that would ensure Lisa felt the same excruciating pain I was enduring. I wasn't going to act rashly. No, this needed careful thought. Lisa and Jack would pay for their betrayal, and I would make sure of it. My first step was to gather evidence. Returning home later, I installed hidden cameras in the house. I needed undeniable proof of their infidelity, something I could use to my advantage. It was a cold, calculated move, but necessary. I couldn't afford any mistakes. Next, I sought out the best divorce attorney in town. I laid out everything, sparing no detail. The attorney advised patience and precision, both qualities I would need in abundance in the coming weeks. I moved our shared funds into a personal account and froze Lisa's credit cards. She wouldn't know what hit her. Every step was deliberate. Every move part of a larger strategy to strip away everything she valued. For weeks, I played the part of the oblivious husband, acting as if nothing had changed. Inside, I was a storm of rage and hurt, but outwardly I was calm and collected. Lisa had no idea what was coming. The opportunity for my revenge came sooner than I expected. A family gathering was scheduled for the following month. Perfect. I'd make sure everyone saw Lisa for what she truly was. When the day arrived, I invited friends and relatives, ensuring a full house. As we gathered, I felt a perverse sense of anticipation. The moment of truth was here. Midway through the event, I interrupted, asking everyone to join me in the living room. "I have something important to share," I announced, feeling the weight of every eye in the room on me. With a deep breath, I pressed play on the video. The room fell silent as the footage of Lisa and Jack's betrayal played out. Gasps of shock and murmurs of disbelief filled the space. Lisa stood frozen, her face pale, tears welling up in her eyes. The humiliation was complete. After the video ended, I turned to her. "This is who you truly are," I said, my voice cold and steady. "And this is why we're done." I walked out, leaving her to face the judgment and whispers of our friends and family. It was just the beginning. The legal battle was next, and I was prepared for it. The divorce was swift and brutal. Armed with undeniable evidence, I secured custody of our children and the lion's share of our assets. Lisa was left with nothing but her guilt and shame. As for Jack, I made sure his betrayal cost him dearly. A few well-placed words to his employer ruined his reputation, and he was soon out of a job and forced to leave town in disgrace. In the aftermath, I moved to a new city, ready to start fresh. It wasn't easy, but with time, I began to heal. I even met someone new, someone who helped me remember what it felt like to trust and love again. Months later, a letter from Lisa arrived, begging for forgiveness. I read it once and then burned it. The past was behind me, and there was no going back. For the first time in a long time, I felt free. My revenge was complete, and I could finally look forward to a future unburdened by betrayal. The days following that Friday were a blur. I moved through my life in a daze, the betrayal gnawing at my sanity. Each morning I woke up hoping it was all a bad dream, only to be reminded of the harsh reality when I saw Lisa's face. But I played my part well, masking my inner turmoil with a facade of normalcy. I spent hours installing hidden cameras in the house, careful to place them where they would capture every damning moment. The act felt both empowering and sickening. Empowering because I was taking control of my destiny. Sickening because of the depths to which I had to stoop to expose the truth. Lisa seemed oblivious to my late-night activities. She probably thought I was working through my feelings, maybe even starting to forgive her. She couldn't have been more wrong. Every time I saw her, I was reminded of her betrayal. But I kept my rage in check, knowing that my plan depended on patience and precision. During the day, I met with the divorce attorney. Mark Stevenson was a sharp, no-nonsense lawyer with a reputation for ruthless efficiency. I laid out the situation for him, providing every sordid detail. He listened intently, his expression unreadable. "You're doing the right thing by gathering evidence," Mark said. "We'll use this to build an airtight case. But you need to keep up appearances. Any sign that you're aware of the affair could jeopardize our advantage." I nodded, determined to follow his advice. Every interaction with Lisa became a performance. I pretended to care, to listen, to be the husband she thought she could manipulate. Inside, I was a storm of anger and hurt, but I kept it hidden beneath a veneer of calm. In the meantime, I moved swiftly to protect my assets. I transferred all our joint funds into a personal account, one Lisa couldn't access. I also froze her credit cards, ensuring she couldn't spend a dime without my knowledge. It was a small victory, but it gave me a sense of control. One evening, as Lisa and I sat in the living room, she turned to me, tears in her eyes. "Ethan, I'm so sorry for what I did. I don't know what came over me. Can we please try to fix this?" I looked at her, feeling nothing but cold detachment. "Lisa, it's going to take time. Right now, I need space to process everything." My words were carefully chosen, designed to keep her off balance. She nodded, looking hopeful. It was almost pathetic. She had no idea what was coming. The family gathering loomed closer. I meticulously planned every detail, making sure it would be an event no one would forget. I invited friends, relatives, and even a few of Lisa's closest confidants. The stage was set for her public humiliation. On the day of the gathering, I woke up early, a sense of grim determination settling over me. I moved through the preparations with mechanical precision, my mind focused on the task at hand. Lisa, oblivious to my true intentions, even complimented me on my efforts. As our guests arrived, I greeted them with a smile, playing the gracious host. The air was filled with laughter and chatter, everyone oblivious to the storm about to break. I could see Lisa mingling, a forced smile on her face. I wondered if she sensed something was amiss. Midway through the event, I gathered everyone in the living room. "Thank you all for coming," I began, my voice steady. "I have something important to share." The room fell silent, all eyes on me. With deliberate slowness, I set up the TV and pressed play. The video footage from the hidden cameras began to play, displaying Lisa's betrayal in stark detail. Gasps of shock and murmurs of disbelief filled the room. Lisa stood frozen, her face ashen, tears welling up in her eyes. The realization of what was happening hit her like a freight train. "This is the truth of our marriage," I said, my voice cold and clear. "And this is why it's over." I turned and walked out, leaving her to face the judgment and whispers of our friends and family. The sense of satisfaction was immediate, but I knew this was only the beginning. The legal battle commenced swiftly. With the evidence I provided, Mark Stevenson built a case that left no room for doubt. The court proceedings were brutal, but I was relentless. I secured custody of our children and the lion's share of our assets. Lisa was left with nothing but her shame and guilt. Jack, too, faced his reckoning. I made sure his betrayal was known to his employer, effectively ruining his career. He lost his job and was forced to leave town in disgrace. It was a fitting punishment for someone who had once called himself my friend. With the divorce finalized and my revenge complete, I moved to a new city, ready to start fresh. The wounds were still there, but I was healing. I met someone new, someone who helped me remember what it felt like to trust and love again. Months later, a letter from Lisa arrived. It was filled with pleas for forgiveness and apologies for the pain she had caused. I read it once and then burned it. The past was behind me, and I had no intention of looking back. For the first time in what felt like forever, I was free. Free from betrayal, free from deceit. My life was mine to rebuild, and I was ready to move forward, unburdened by the ghosts of my past. The days following the family gathering were chaotic. Word of Lisa's infidelity spread quickly, and the fallout was immediate. Our friends and family were shocked, many of them reaching out to me with words of support and disbelief. The betrayal had cut deep, not just for me, but for everyone who had believed in our seemingly perfect marriage. Lisa was a wreck. She tried calling and texting me, leaving countless voicemails begging for a chance to explain, to apologize. I ignored them all. My focus was on moving forward, on ensuring that she felt the full weight of her actions. One morning, as I was sipping my coffee and going over some work emails, there was a knock at the door. I opened it to find Lisa standing there, eyes red from crying, looking more broken than I had ever seen her. "Ethan, please," she started, her voice trembling. "Can we talk? Just for a moment?" I took a deep breath, steeling myself. "There's nothing left to say, Lisa. You made your choices, and now you have to live with them." Her face crumpled, and she let out a choked sob. "I know I hurt you. I know I ruined everything. But please, just give me a chance to make things right." I shook my head, my resolve unwavering. "There's no fixing this. We're done. The papers will be filed soon, and I suggest you start looking for a new place to live." With that, I closed the door, shutting out her pleas. It was harsh, but necessary. She needed to understand that there were consequences to her actions, and that I was no longer the man she could manipulate with tears and apologies. In the following weeks, Lisa moved out, taking only her personal belongings. The house, once filled with memories of our life together, now felt like a hollow shell. But it was a necessary emptiness, a blank slate on which I could start rebuilding my life. The legal process moved swiftly. Mark Stevenson was relentless, and with the mountain of evidence I had provided, the court had no choice but to side with me. I was granted full custody of our children and retained the majority of our assets. Lisa's lawyer tried to argue for leniency, but it was a losing battle from the start. Jack's downfall was equally swift. His employer, a prominent figure in the business community, was appalled by his actions. Word spread, and soon Jack found himself without a job, his reputation in tatters. He tried reaching out to me, perhaps seeking some form of reconciliation, but I had no interest in hearing his excuses. With the legal battles behind me, I focused on my new life. I sold our old house and moved to a new city, one free from the shadows of betrayal. It was a chance to start fresh, to build something new and untainted by the past. In this new city, I found a job that I loved and a community that welcomed me with open arms. Slowly, I began to heal. The scars of betrayal were still there, but they no longer defined me. I was more than the sum of my pain. One day, while at a local cafe, I met Sarah. She was different from anyone I'd ever known, kind, genuine, and understanding. We started as friends, but it wasn't long before something deeper blossomed between us. She knew about my past, about the betrayal and the revenge, but she never judged me for it. Instead, she helped me see that there was still hope for a future filled with love and trust. Months passed, and as Sarah and I grew closer, I received a letter from Lisa. It was filled with apologies and pleas for forgiveness, a desperate attempt to mend what was irreparably broken. I read it once, feeling a strange mix of pity and detachment, and then I burned it. The past was behind me, and I had no intention of revisiting it. Life with Sarah was different, simpler, more honest. She helped me see the good in people again, something I thought I had lost forever. With her, I found a sense of peace and contentment that I hadn't felt in years. As the seasons changed, I realized just how far I had come. The man who had been consumed by rage and betrayal was gone, replaced by someone stronger, more resilient. My revenge had been a necessary step in my journey, but it no longer defined me. I was free to build a future unburdened by the ghosts of my past. Looking back, I could see the path that had led me here, each step a painful but necessary part of my transformation. I had emerged from the darkness, scarred but stronger, ready to embrace the future with open arms. And for the first time in a long time, I felt truly free. With the chaos of the past behind me, my life began to take on a sense of normalcy and routine. I settled into my new job, and Sarah became an integral part of my life. She was a beacon of light, guiding me out of the shadows of my past. Together, we built a life that was filled with laughter, understanding, and a growing sense of trust. One weekend, as Sarah and I enjoyed a quiet morning at home, she turned to me, her eyes filled with a mix of curiosity and concern. "Ethan, I know you've been through a lot. Do you ever think about the future, about what you want moving forward?" I smiled, taking her hand in mine. "Every day. And I see you in the future, Sarah. You've helped me heal in ways I never thought possible. I want to build something real with you." Her smile was radiant, and for the first time I felt a genuine sense of hope. We spent the rest of the day discussing our dreams and plans, laying the foundation for our future together. Meanwhile, the final stages of my divorce from Lisa were wrapping up. The legal proceedings had been grueling, but with Mark Stevenson's expertise, we had navigated them successfully. Lisa had moved out of state, seeking a fresh start of her own. I wished her no ill will. Our chapter was closed, and it was time for both of us to move on. One evening, as Sarah and I sat on the porch, enjoying the cool breeze, she turned to me with a serious expression. "Ethan, there's something I need to tell you." My heart skipped a beat, but I nodded, bracing myself for whatever was coming. "Remember that job opportunity I mentioned a while back? The one in New York? I got it." A mix of emotions surged through me. Pride for her achievement, but also a pang of fear. "That's amazing, Sarah. I'm so proud of you. But what does this mean for us?" She took a deep breath, her eyes searching mine. "I want you to come with me, start fresh together in a new city. What do you think?" The prospect was daunting, but also exhilarating. New York was a chance to leave behind the remnants of my past completely and start anew with the woman I loved. "I think it's a great idea. Let's do it." The decision made, we set about planning our move. It was a whirlwind of packing, goodbyes, and preparations, but the excitement of a new beginning carried us through. Our friends threw us a farewell party, wishing us luck and promising to visit. The move to New York was both thrilling and overwhelming. The city's energy was infectious, and we quickly found a cozy apartment in a vibrant neighborhood. I found a job that challenged me and reignited my passion for my work. Sarah thrived in her new role, her confidence and joy contagious. One evening, after a particularly exhausting day, we collapsed onto our couch, looking out at the city skyline. Sarah snuggled close, her head resting on my shoulder. "Can you believe we're here?" she whispered. I wrapped my arm around her. feeling a deep sense of contentment. It's like a dream, and I'm so glad we're living it together. Our life in New York was everything we had hoped for and more. We explored the city, made new friends, and created countless memories. The past, with all its pain and betrayal, felt like a distant echo, something that had shaped us but no longer defined us. One sunny afternoon, as we strolled through Central Park, I felt a surge of emotion. I stopped, turning to Sarah. "You know, I've been thinking about something." She looked up at me, curiosity in her eyes. "What is it?" I took her hands in mine, my heart pounding. "I don't want to waste any more time. Sarah, will you marry me?" Her eyes widened in surprise and then filled with tears. "Yes, Ethan, of course I will." We kissed, the world around us fading into a blur. At that moment, I knew that everything I had been through had led me to this, standing in the heart of a new city, ready to build a future with a woman I loved. Our wedding was a small, intimate affair, surrounded by our closest friends and family. It was a celebration of love, resilience, and new beginnings. As I looked into Sarah's eyes, I felt a profound sense of gratitude. She had shown me that it was possible to heal, to trust again, and to find happiness after so much pain. Life with Sarah was a series of beautiful moments strung together by love and laughter. We faced challenges, as all couples do, but we faced them together, stronger for the journey we had taken. Years later, as we sat on our porch, watching our children play in the yard, I reflected on the path that had led us here. The betrayal, the revenge, the healing. It had all been part of a journey that had brought me to this place of peace and fulfillment. Sarah squeezed my hand, her smile reflecting the happiness that filled our lives. "We did it, didn't we?" I nodded, feeling a deep sense of contentment. Yes, we did, and I wouldn't change a thing. As I watched our children laugh and play, I knew that the future held endless possibilities. Together, we had built something beautiful out of the ashes of the past. And for the first time in my life, I was truly at peace, ready to embrace whatever came next. Life in New York settled into a pleasant rhythm. Sarah and I reveled in the excitement of our new city and the fresh start it represented. We made our apartment a home, decorated with mementos of our journey together and the promise of a bright future. Every day was a new adventure, and for a while it felt like nothing could tarnish our happiness. One sunny afternoon, as I was working on a project from home, my phone buzzed. It was a number I didn't recognize. Normally, I would ignore such calls, but something compelled me to answer. "Hello? Ethan, it's Jack." The voice on the other end sent a chill down my spine. I hadn't heard from Jack since the day I exposed his betrayal. My mind raced, wondering why he would reach out now. "What do you want, Jack?" There was a pause, and then he spoke, his voice laden with guilt. "I know I'm the last person you want to hear from, but I need to talk to you. It's important." I was tempted to hang up, but curiosity got the better of me. "What is it? Can we meet?" "I'm in New York for a few days, and I need to talk to you in person. It's about Lisa." Lisa. Hearing her name reopened old wounds, but I agreed to meet if only to put an end to whatever this was. We arranged to meet at a small cafe in the city. As I approached the cafe, I spotted Jack sitting at a table by the window, looking older and more worn than I remembered. He stood as I walked in, a hesitant smile on his face. I nodded curtly and took a seat. "What's this about, Jack?" I asked, cutting straight to the point. He sighed, running a hand through his hair. "I know I don't deserve your time, Ethan, but I needed to tell you something. Lisa's in trouble." A part of me wanted to walk out right then, to leave him and Lisa to whatever mess they had created. But another part, the part that still remembered the years of friendship and marriage, kept me in my seat. "What kind of trouble?" Jack's expression grew somber. "After everything happened, Lisa moved to California. She tried to start over, but things didn't go well. She got involved with some bad people, and now she's in serious debt. She's scared, Ethan. She doesn't know where to turn." I leaned back, absorbing his words. "And why are you telling me tease?" "Because despite everything, I know you cared about her once. She's desperate, Ethan. She reached out to me because she had no one else. But I can't help her. I'm barely keeping myself afloat. I thought, maybe you'd want to know. I looked out the window, my mind a whirl of emotions. The betrayal, the revenge, the new life I had built, all of it seemed distant at this moment. What exactly do you expect me to do, Jack? I don't know. Maybe just reach out to her. See if there's anything you can do. She's not asking for money. She just needs support, someone to help her figure things out. Part of me wanted to say no, to tell Jack that Lisa was no longer my problem. But another part of me, the part that still had a shred of compassion, couldn't ignore the plea in his voice. I'll think about it, I finally said, but I can't promise anything. Jack nodded, a look of relief washing over his face. Thank you, Ethan. That's all I can ask. As I walked away from the cafe, my mind was heavy with conflicting thoughts. When I got home, Sarah immediately sensed that something was wrong. What happened? She asked, concern etched on her face. I told her about the call, the meeting with Jack, and Lisa's situation. She listened quietly, her expression thoughtful. What are you going to do? She asked when I finished. I don't know, I admitted. Part of me feels like it's not my problem anymore. But another part of me feels like I should at least reach out, see if there's anything I can do to help. Sarah took my hand, her touch grounding me. You have a big heart, Ethan. Whatever you decide, I'll support you. That night, I couldn't sleep. Memories of Lisa and our life together played through my mind, mingling with the pain of her betrayal. Despite everything, there was a time when we had been happy, when we had loved each other deeply. The thought of her being in trouble, with no one to turn to, tugged at my conscience. The next day, I decided to reach out. I found Lisa's number in an old contact list and hesitated for a moment before dialing. Hello? Her voice was tentative, unfamiliar. Lisa, it's Ethan. There was a long silence. Ethan, I didn't expect to hear from you. Jack told me you're in trouble. What's going on? She sighed, and I could hear the weariness in her voice. It's a long story. I made some bad choices and trusted the wrong people. Now I'm in over my head. Tell me everything, I said. Maybe I can help. Over the next hour, Lisa poured out her story. She had moved to California, hoping to start fresh, but things had quickly spiraled out of control. She had fallen in with a bad crowd and now owed a significant amount of money to some dangerous people. I don't know what to do, Ethan. I'm so scared. I felt a pang of sympathy despite everything. Let me see what I can do. I can't promise anything, but I'll try to help. After our call, I spent the next few days reaching out to contacts and exploring options. I didn't want to get too deeply involved, but I couldn't ignore her plight either. With Sarah's support, I was able to arrange for Lisa to meet with a financial advisor and a legal aid service to help her navigate her situation. A week later, Lisa called me, her voice filled with gratitude. Thank you, Ethan. I don't know what I would have done without your help. It's not much, but it's a start, I said. Take care of yourself, Lisa, and try to make better choices this time. As I hung up, I felt a sense of closure. Helping Lisa didn't erase the past, but it allowed me to move forward with a clearer conscience. I had done what I could, and now it was up to her to rebuild her life. Life continued to move forward, and Sarah and I grew even closer through this experience. It reinforced the strength of our relationship and our commitment to each other. The past was a part of my story, but it no longer defined me. I was free to build a future filled with hope, love, and endless possibilities. Weeks turned into months, and life continued to settle into a comfortable rhythm. My decision to help Lisa had brought a sense of closure, and my relationship with Sarah grew stronger with each passing day. We focused on our careers, our home, and the future we were building together. One crisp autumn morning, as Sarah and I were enjoying breakfast on our balcony, my phone rang. It was Mark Stevenson, my divorce attorney. It had been a while since I last spoke to him, and his call was unexpected. Ethan, I need to see you in my office as soon as possible, he said, his tone serious. What's this about, Mark? I asked, my curiosity piqued. It's about Lisa. There's been a development you need to be aware of. An uneasy feeling settled in my stomach, but I agreed to meet him later that day. Sarah gave me a concerned look as I hung up the phone. Is everything okay? I'm not sure, I admitted. Mark wants to discuss something about Lisa. I'll find out more when I see him. A few hours later, I walked into Mark's office, my mind racing with possibilities. He greeted me with a firm handshake and gestured for me to take a seat. Thanks for coming on such short notice, Ethan, he began. I've received some concerning information regarding Lisa's situation. I leaned forward, my anxiety growing. What's going on? Mark handed me a stack of documents. Lisa's debt situation is worse than we initially thought. The people she owes money to are involved in some very serious criminal activities. She's in deeper trouble than she let on. My heart sank as I skimmed through the papers. What does this mean for her? And why are you telling me this? Because it appears that Lisa has been named as a witness in an ongoing investigation. The authorities believe she has information that could be crucial to bringing these people down. But it also means she's in considerable danger. I felt a mix of anger and frustration. So what am I supposed to do? I've already done what I can to help her. Mark nodded sympathetically. I understand, but Lisa has requested witness protection. Given her connection to you, the authorities may reach out to you as well. They need to ensure she's safe, and they might think you could be a target too. The weight of his words hit me like a ton of bricks. Just when I thought I had moved on, Lisa's troubles dragged me back into a world of chaos and danger. What do I need to do? For now, you need to be cautious. I'll keep you informed of any developments, but it might be wise to take some precautions. Make sure Sarah is aware of the situation and consider tightening security at your home. As I left Mark's office, my mind was a whirl of emotions. I had hoped that helping Lisa would put an end to our connection, but it seemed that her past was more complicated and dangerous than I had realized. When I got home, I sat down with Sarah and explained everything. Her eyes widened with concern, but she remained calm. We'll get through this, Ethan. We just need to be careful and stay informed. The next few weeks were tense. I installed additional security measures at our apartment and stayed in close contact with Mark. The authorities reached out to me, confirming that Lisa was under their protection and that they were taking steps to ensure our safety as well. One evening, as Sarah and I were preparing dinner, my phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. I hesitated before opening it, but my curiosity got the better of me. The message was from Lisa. Ethan, I know you've done so much for me already, but I need your help one last time. There's something I need to tell you in person. Please meet me at the old park where we used to go. I showed the message to Sarah, who looked as conflicted as I felt. Do you think it's a good idea? She asked. I don't know, I admitted. But if she's reaching out like this, it must be important. I'll be careful. The next morning, I went to the park. It was a place filled with memories, both good and bad. As I approached our old meeting spot, I saw Lisa sitting on a bench, looking more fragile than ever. Thank you for coming, Ethan, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. What is it, Lisa? What's so important that you had to meet in person? I asked, keeping my distance. She looked around nervously before speaking. I found something that could change everything. But I couldn't tell the authorities. I don't trust them completely. My patience was wearing thin. What did you find? She handed me a small, worn notebook. It's a ledger. It details all the transactions and dealings of the people I got involved with. It's the key to bringing them down, but it also puts me in even more danger. I took the notebook, feeling its weight in my hands. Why didn't you give this to the authorities? I was scared. I didn't know who to trust, but I know you, Ethan. You're the only one who can help me. I sighed, the enormity of the situation sinking in. What do you expect me to do with this? Use it to ensure my safety and bring those people to justice. You're the only person I trust. I looked at her, seeing the desperation in her eyes. Despite everything, I couldn't ignore her plea for help. I'll see what I can do. As I left the park, the weight of the ledger in my pocket, I knew that my life had just taken another unexpected turn. The past was not as far behind me as I had hoped, and now, more than ever, I needed to navigate this new challenge with caution and resolve. When I got home, I showed the ledger to Sarah. Together, we devised a plan to ensure Lisa's safety and bring the criminals to justice, while also protecting ourselves. It was a daunting task, but with Sarah by my side, I felt ready to face whatever came next. The journey ahead was uncertain and fraught with danger, but it was also an opportunity to finally put the past to rest and build a future free from the shadows of betrayal. And this time, I was determined to emerge victorious, not just for myself, but for everyone I loved. The days following my meeting with Lisa were a whirlwind of activity. The ledger she had given me was filled with cryptic notes and coded transactions, a tangled web of deceit that spanned years. I knew deciphering it would be the key to bringing down the criminals who had ensnared her. Sarah and I worked late into the night, poring over the ledger's contents. Her analytical skills were invaluable, and together we started to piece the puzzle. Each entry seemed to tell a story of corruption, bribery, and illegal dealings. The scope of it was staggering. One evening, as we sat at the kitchen table surrounded by papers and notes, Sarah looked up at me, her eyes filled with determination. "Ethan, I think I've found something. Look at this." She pointed to a series of entries that seemed to be linked to a single individual. The name was coded, but with Sarah's help, we managed to crack it. It led us to a man named Victor Delaney, a notorious crime lord with connections in high places. "This is it," I said, feeling a mix of excitement and dread. "We have a lead. Now we need to figure out how to use it." The next step was to contact Mark Stevenson. He had been a steadfast ally throughout my divorce, and I trusted him to handle this delicate situation. We arranged a meeting at his office, where we laid out everything we had discovered. Mark listened carefully, his expression growing more serious with each passing minute. "This is significant, Ethan. If we can verify this information, it could bring down a major criminal network. But it's also extremely dangerous." "I know," I replied. "That's why I need your help. We need to do this carefully, ensure that Lisa is protected and that these people are brought to justice." Mark nodded, his resolve matching ours. "I'll reach out to my contacts in law enforcement. We need to handle this quietly and make sure we have enough evidence before we move forward. In the meantime, keep this information secure and stay vigilant." Over the next few weeks, we worked closely with Mark and a small team of trusted investigators. The evidence continued to mount, painting a damning picture of Victor Delaney's operations. Each new piece of information brought us closer to dismantling his network. One evening, as Sarah and I were reviewing our progress, there was a knock at the door. I opened it to find a stern-looking man in a suit, flanked by two other men. "Mr. Bennett, my name is Agent Harris. I'm with the FBI. We need to talk." I felt a surge of anxiety but invited them in. Agent Harris wasted no time. "We've been monitoring Victor Delaney for years, but he's always managed to stay one step ahead. The information you've uncovered could be the breakthrough we need. We'd like to work with you to bring him down." The gravity of the situation hit me hard. This was no longer just about helping Lisa or even ensuring our safety. This was about taking down a dangerous criminal who had evaded justice for far too long. Sarah squeezed my hand, offering silent support. "We're in," I said. "Whatever it takes to bring him to justice." The next few weeks were a blur of covert meetings, strategic planning, and gathering evidence. The FBI set up a secure communication line and provided us with additional security measures. We knew the risks, but the sense of purpose and determination drove us forward. One day, as we were finalizing our plans, Lisa called me, her voice filled with anxiety. "Ethan, I've heard rumors. Victor knows someone is on to him. I'm scared. What if he finds out it's us?" I reassured her as best I could. "We're working with the FBI, Lisa. They'll protect us. Just stay low and follow their instructions." As the net tightened around Victor Delaney, the tension grew. We knew that one wrong move could jeopardize everything. The FBI planned a coordinated raid, but we needed to ensure that all the pieces were in place. The night before the operation, Sarah and I sat on our balcony, looking out over the city. The weight of what we were about to do hung heavy in the air. "Are you ready for this?" she asked, her voice soft but steady. I took a deep breath, feeling the gravity of the moment. "I am. We've come this far. We can't back down now." The next morning, the operation commenced. The FBI, armed with the evidence we had gathered, executed a series of raids across the city. Victor Delaney and several of his key associates were arrested, their criminal empire crumbling under the weight of the evidence. The news spread quickly, and the media hailed it as a major victory against organized crime. Lisa was placed in witness protection, her identity and location carefully guarded. It wasn't a perfect solution, but it gave her a chance to start over, truly this time. As the dust settled, Sarah and I found ourselves standing on the precipice of a new chapter. The ordeal had tested us in ways we never imagined, but it had also brought us closer, forging an unbreakable bond. One evening, as we watched the sunset from our balcony, Sarah turned to me, a smile playing on her lips. "We did it, Ethan. We made it through." I wrapped my arm around her, feeling a profound sense of relief and gratitude. "Yes, we did. And I couldn't have done it without you." The journey had been long and fraught with challenges, but in the end, we emerged stronger, ready to face whatever the future held. Together, we unraveled the web of deceit and built a life defined by trust, resilience, and unwavering love. The successful takedown of Victor Delaney's criminal network was a monumental achievement, but it left a wake of uncertainty and tension. While justice had been served, the fallout was far from over. As the dust settled, Sarah and I found ourselves navigating the aftershocks of our involvement in such a high-stakes operation. One morning, as I was getting ready for work, my phone buzzed with a message from Agent Harris. "Ethan, we need to talk. Can you meet me at the usual place?" I felt a pang of anxiety but agreed to meet him. The usual place was a discreet cafe we had used for our meetings during the investigation. I kissed Sarah goodbye, assuring her that everything would be fine, and headed out. When I arrived, Agent Harris was already there, sipping a coffee and looking more serious than usual. I took a seat across from him. "What's going on, Agent Harris?" He leaned in, his voice low. "Ethan, I need to inform you of a potential threat. Even though Delaney and his associates are behind bars, there are still remnants of his network out there. Some of them are not happy about your involvement in their downfall." A chill ran down my spine. "What does this mean for you, Uz?" "It means you need to be vigilant. We've increased surveillance around your home and are keeping a close watch on known associates of Delaney. But you and Sarah need to be careful. Avoid routines, vary your daily routes, and report anything suspicious immediately." I nodded, the weight of his words sinking in. "Understood. We'll be careful." When I got home, I sat down with Sarah and explained the situation. Her face paled, but she remained composed. "We knew there might be risks, Ethan. We'll just have to be extra cautious." In the following weeks, our lives took on a new level of vigilance. We changed our routines, installed additional security measures, and stayed in close contact with the FBI. The tension was palpable, but we were determined to not let it dominate our lives. One evening, as we were sitting down to dinner, there was a loud knock at the door. Sarah and I exchanged a worried glance. I approached the door cautiously, peering through the peephole. To my surprise, it was Mark Stevenson. "Mark, what are you doing here?" I asked as I opened the door. He stepped inside, looking grim. "Ethan, I needed to talk to you in person. There's been a development." We sat down in the living room, and Mark wasted no time. "One of Delaney's associates, a man named Tony Vargas, has been making noise. He's dangerous and has a vendetta against anyone involved in Delaney's capture. The authorities are doing what they can, but I wanted to warn you personally." I felt a surge of anger and frustration. "So what do we do now? Just live in fear?" Mark shook his head. "No, but you need to be smart. The FBI is on high alert, and you have their protection. Just stay aware and report anything unusual." After Mark left, Sarah and I sat in silence for a while, the gravity of the situation weighing heavily on us. "This isn't how I imagined our life would be," she said quietly, tears welling in her eyes. I pulled her close, feeling a mix of anger and helplessness. I know, Sarah, but we'll get through this. Together. We've faced so much already. We can handle this too. Despite the heightened security and constant vigilance, we tried to maintain a sense of normalcy. Sarah and I continued with our jobs, and we made time for each other, cherishing the moments of peace and happiness amidst the tension. One night, as we were walking home from a late dinner, I noticed a figure following us at a distance. My heart raced, and I subtly alerted Sarah. We quickened our pace and took a few unexpected turns, eventually losing the tail. Once we were safely home, I reported the incident to Agent Harris. "This is exactly why we need to stay vigilant," he said over the phone. "I'll send a team to monitor your area more closely." The incident left us shaken but also more determined. We weren't going to let fear control our lives. Instead, we leaned on each other for strength and support. A few days later, Sarah came home with an idea. "Ethan, what if we took a trip? Just for a little while. Get away from the city. Clear our heads. We could visit my parents in the countryside. It might be good for us." The thought of getting away, even temporarily, was appealing. "That sounds like a great idea. Let's do it." We informed Agent Harris of our plans, and he arranged for discreet protection during our trip. The countryside was a welcome change from the constant tension of the city. Sarah's parents welcomed us with open arms, providing a haven where we could relax and regain our strength. During our stay, we took long walks, enjoyed the peace, and reconnected in a way that reminded us of why we had fallen in love. It was a time of healing and reflection, a necessary respite from the chaos. One afternoon, as we sat by a tranquil lake, Sarah turned to me, her eyes filled with determination. "Ethan, I know this isn't over, but I believe in us. We've faced so much already and we've come out stronger. Whatever happens next, we'll face it together." I smiled, feeling a deep sense of gratitude and love for the woman by my side. "You're right, Sarah. Together we can face anything." As we prepared to return to the city, we felt more resolved than ever. The challenges were far from over, but we were ready to face them head-on. The journey ahead was uncertain, but with Sarah by my side, I knew we could handle whatever came our way. Our return to New York marked the beginning of a new chapter. We were more cautious, but also more united. The past had tested us, but it had also forged an unbreakable bond. And together we were ready to face whatever the future held, determined to build a life defined not by fear, but by love and resilience. Returning to New York after our brief respite in the countryside, Sarah and I felt a renewed sense of determination. However, the sense of unease was never far from our minds. The knowledge that Tony Vargas was out there, possibly watching and waiting, cast a long shadow over our lives. One evening, as we were settling back into our routine, I received a call from Agent Harris. His voice was tense. "Ethan, we need to meet. There's been a development. We arranged to meet at the same discreet cafe." Sarah insisted on coming with me, and I didn't argue. We needed to face this together. When we arrived, Agent Harris was already seated, his face a mask of concern. "Ethan, Sarah, thank you for coming," he began. "We've intercepted some communications that suggest Tony Vargas is planning something significant. We don't have all the details yet, but it's clear that he's targeting those involved in Delaney's downfall." My heart sank. "Do you know what he's planning?" Harris shook his head. "Not yet, but we're working on it. In the meantime, we need you to be extremely cautious. Limit your movements, avoid predictable patterns, and stay in close contact with us." Sarah and I nodded, understanding the gravity of the situation. As we left the cafe, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was about to happen. The city felt more ominous than ever, every shadow a potential threat. The following days were a blur of heightened security and constant vigilance. The FBI had placed agents around our building and installed additional surveillance cameras, but the sense of unease persisted. We tried to maintain some semblance of normalcy, but it was difficult. One night, as we were having dinner, there was a sudden loud noise outside our apartment. We froze, exchanging worried glances. I grabbed my phone and called Agent Harris. There was a noise outside our apartment. "Can you check it out? Stay inside and lock your doors," he instructed. "We're on our way." Minutes later, I heard the sounds of footsteps and hushed voices outside. I peeked through the peephole and saw several FBI agents conducting a thorough search of the hallway. After what felt like an eternity, there was a knock on the door. "It's safe now," Agent Harris said when I opened it. "It looks like it was just a false alarm, but we're not taking any chances." The tension in our apartment was palpable. Sarah and I barely slept that night, our minds racing with fear and uncertainty. The next morning, we decided to take a walk in Central Park, hoping the fresh air would clear our heads. As we strolled through the park, I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Every person we passed seemed like a potential threat. Sarah squeezed my hand, sensing my unease. "Ethan, we'll get through this. We have to stay strong." I nodded, trying to muster the strength and confidence we both needed. But as we rounded a bend, I saw a familiar face in the crowd. It was Tony Vargas. He was watching us, a sinister smile playing on his lips. "Sarah, we need to go," I said urgently, pulling her towards the nearest exit. We quickened our pace, but Vargas didn't follow. Instead, he disappeared into the crowd, his presence a chilling reminder of the danger we were in. We hurried back to our apartment and called Agent Harris, who arrived with a team of agents within minutes. "We saw Vargas in the park," I told him, my voice shaking. "He was watching us." Harris frowned. "This means he's getting bolder. We need to increase your security even further. I'll assign a detail to follow you wherever you go." The next few weeks were a nightmare of constant surveillance and paranoia. We couldn't leave the apartment without an escort, and every noise, every stranger felt like a potential threat. The stress took its toll on both of us, but we tried to remain strong for each other. One evening, as we were sitting on the balcony, Sarah turned to me, her eyes filled with determination. "Ethan, we can't live like this forever. We need to find a way to stop Vargas for good." I nodded, knowing she was right. "We will, Sarah. We just need to find the right opportunity." That opportunity came sooner than expected. One night, Agent Harris called with urgent news. "We've got a lead on Vargas's location. We're planning a raid tonight, and we want you to be prepared." This could be our chance to finally end this. The hours leading up to the raid were filled with anxiety and anticipation. Sarah and I stayed close, trying to reassure each other. When the call finally came, we were ready. The raid was swift and decisive. The FBI stormed the building where Vargas was hiding, catching him and his associates off guard. The operation was over within minutes, and Vargas was in custody, his reign of terror finally at an end. When Agent Harris called to give us the news, the relief was overwhelming. "He's in custody, Ethan. You and Sarah are safe now." As the reality of the situation sank in, Sarah and I hugged each other tightly, tears of relief streaming down our faces. The nightmare was over. We could finally begin to rebuild our lives without the constant fear that had haunted us for so long. In the days that followed, the sense of freedom was almost surreal. We resumed our routines, cautiously at first, but with growing confidence. The city that had once seemed so threatening began to feel like home again. One evening, as we sat on our balcony watching the sunset, Sarah turned to me with a smile. "We made it, Ethan. We're finally free." I smiled back, feeling a profound sense of gratitude and love. "Yes, we did. And I couldn't have done it without you." The journey had been long and fraught with challenges, but in the end we had triumphed. Together we had faced the unseen threat and emerged stronger, ready to embrace whatever the future held. With Tony Vargas behind bars and the immediate threat finally neutralized, Sarah and I began the process of rebuilding our lives. The aftermath of our ordeal had left us scarred, both emotionally and mentally, but we were determined to move forward together. The first few weeks were a period of adjustment. We gradually eased back into our routines, grateful for the newfound sense of security but still wary of lingering dangers. The FBI maintained a discreet presence, ensuring our safety while allowing us some semblance of normalcy. One afternoon, Sarah suggested we visit a therapist. "Ethan, we've been through so much. Talking to someone might help us process everything." I agreed, recognizing the strain our experiences had placed on us individually and as a couple. The therapist, Dr. Reynolds, was understanding and supportive. She helped us navigate our feelings of fear, anxiety, and even guilt, providing us with tools to cope with the trauma we had endured. Through therapy, Sarah and I learned to communicate more openly and honestly. We shared our fears and insecurities, acknowledging the impact our ordeal had on our relationship. Dr. Reynolds helped us rebuild trust in each other, reassuring us that it was okay to lean on one another for support. As we worked through our emotions, Sarah and I also focused on rebuilding our sense of security. We made a conscious effort to create a safe and nurturing environment in our home, away from the shadows of the past. We installed additional security measures and established a routine that allowed us to feel more in control of our surroundings. One evening, as we sat down to dinner, Sarah placed a small envelope in front of me. "What's this?" I asked, curiosity piqued. She smiled softly. "Open it." Inside was a set of plane tickets to a tropical island. "I thought we could take a vacation. Just the two of us, away from everything," she explained. I felt a surge of gratitude and love for her thoughtfulness. "That sounds amazing, Sarah. Let's do it." The vacation was a much-needed escape from the pressures of our daily lives. We spent lazy days lounging on the beach, exploring the island, and rediscovering the joy of simply being together. It was a time of healing and renewal, strengthening our bond and reminding us of the resilience we shared. Upon our return, we continued to make progress. We gradually reintegrated into our social circles, reconnecting with friends and colleagues who had supported us through our ordeal. Each interaction reaffirmed our sense of community and reminded us that we were not alone in our journey. As time passed, the scars of our past began to fade, replaced by a newfound sense of hope and optimism. Sarah and I made plans for the future, setting goals and dreaming of what lay ahead. We were no longer defined by the trauma we had endured, but by our resilience in overcoming it. One evening, as we celebrated our anniversary at a cozy restaurant, Sarah reached across the table and took my hand. "Ethan, I'm so grateful for everything we've been through. It's made us stronger, individually and as a couple." I smiled, squeezing her hand in return. "Me too, Sarah. I couldn't imagine going through this with anyone else." Our journey had been tumultuous, marked by fear, uncertainty, and moments of profound courage. But through it all, Sarah and I had emerged stronger and more united than ever. Together, we faced the darkest corners of our past and emerged into the light, ready to embrace the future with open hearts and renewed hope. As Sarah and I settled into our renewed sense of security and optimism, we found ourselves looking forward to the future with anticipation and hope. The challenges of our past had tested us in ways we never expected, but they had also shaped us into stronger individuals and a more resilient couple. One of the first steps we took was to focus on our careers. Sarah had always been passionate about her work in environmental advocacy, and she decided to take on a more active role in promoting sustainability initiatives within her organization. Her dedication and commitment inspired me, and I found renewed motivation in my career in finance. Together, we supported each other's professional endeavors, celebrating successes and navigating challenges as a team. Our shared experiences deepened our bond, fostering a sense of trust and mutual respect that strengthened our partnership both at home and in our respective careers. Outside of work, we continued to prioritize our relationship and personal well-being. We made time for regular date nights, exploring new restaurants and cultural events in the city. These moments of joy and relaxation became anchors in our lives, reminding us of the importance of nurturing our connection amidst the demands of everyday life. One weekend, Sarah surprised me with a hiking trip in the nearby mountains. We spent 2 days exploring nature trails, breathing in the fresh air, and reveling in the beauty of the wilderness. It was a welcome escape from the hustle and bustle of city life, allowing us to recharge and reconnect with ourselves and each other. During our hike, we talked about our dreams for the future. Sarah expressed her desire to eventually start a family, while I shared my ambitions of advancing in my career and possibly exploring entrepreneurial ventures. We discussed our hopes and fears openly, knowing that we could face whatever challenges lay ahead as long as we faced them together. Back in the city, we began to lay the groundwork for our plans. We started saving for a down payment on a house, envisioning a place where we could build a home and create lasting memories. The prospect of home ownership symbolized stability and a commitment to our shared future, a testament to how far we had come since the dark days of our past. As we navigated this new chapter of our lives, we remained mindful of the lessons we had learned from our experiences. We continued to prioritize communication, honesty, and resilience in our relationship, knowing that these values had been instrumental in overcoming adversity. One evening, as we celebrated Sarah's promotion over dinner at our favorite restaurant, she raised her glass in a toast. "To new beginnings," she said with a smile. "To new beginnings," I echoed, clinking my glass against hers. The journey had been arduous, marked by moments of fear and uncertainty, but it had also been a journey of growth and transformation. Together, Sarah and I had emerged from the shadows of our past, ready to embrace the future with optimism, gratitude, and an unwavering belief in the power of love and resilience. As Sarah and I settled into our new home, a cozy townhouse in a quiet neighborhood, we found ourselves reflecting on the journey that had brought us here. The past year had been a whirlwind of challenges and triumphs, but through it all, we had emerged stronger and more united than ever. The townhouse represented more than just a physical space. It was a symbol of our resilience and determination to build a life together. We spent weekends decorating and making it our own, choosing furniture that reflected our tastes and personalities. Each piece seemed to hold a story, a reminder of how far we had come since the darkest days of our past. One evening, as we sat on our newly furnished balcony sipping wine and watching the sunset, Sarah turned to me with a smile. "I can't believe we're here, Ethan. In our own home." I took her hand, feeling a rush of gratitude. "It's surreal, isn't it? But we made it. Together." Sarah nodded, her eyes shining with happiness. "I'm so proud of us." In the months that followed, we settled into a routine that balanced our careers, personal aspirations, and quality time together. Sarah continued to excel in her role, leading impactful initiatives that aligned with her passion for environmental conservation. Meanwhile, I found fulfillment in my work, leveraging my experience to take on new challenges and opportunities in the finance industry. Outside of work, we made time for hobbies and shared interests. We discovered a love for cooking together, experimenting with new recipes, and hosting intimate dinner parties for friends. We explored local parks and cultural events, immersing ourselves in the vibrant tapestry of city life. One weekend, Sarah suggested we volunteer at a local animal shelter. Her love for animals had always been evident, and she was eager to make a difference in their lives. I joined her enthusiastically, and we spent Saturday mornings walking dogs, socializing with cats, and helping find loving homes for pets in need. The experience deepened our appreciation for the simple joys of life and reinforced our commitment to giving back to our community. It also reminded us of the importance of compassion and empathy in our daily interactions, both with each other and with those around us. As we approached our second anniversary, Sarah surprised me with a weekend getaway to a quaint bed and breakfast in the countryside. We spent 3 days exploring picturesque trails, visiting local vineyards, and indulging in quiet moments of reflection. One evening, as we sat by a crackling fire, Sarah turned to me with a question. "Ethan, do you ever think about what our lives would have been like if we hadn't gone through everything we did?" I considered her question thoughtfully, gazing into the flickering flames. "Sometimes, but I believe everything happens for a reason. Our journey has shaped us into who we are today." Sarah nodded, her expression softening. "I agree, it's made us stronger, more appreciative of the good times." We spent the rest of the evening sharing memories and dreams for the future. We talked about starting a family someday, traveling to new destinations, and continuing to grow both individually and as a couple. The conversation flowed effortlessly, filled with laughter and moments of quiet understanding. As we returned home, refreshed and renewed, I felt a profound sense of gratitude for the life we had built together. Our journey had been marked by challenges and uncertainties, but it had also been defined by love, resilience, and unwavering support. Standing in our townhouse, surrounded by the warmth of Sarah's presence and the echoes of our shared laughter, I knew that no matter what lay ahead, we would face it together. With open hearts and a deep-seated belief in the power of love to overcome any obstacle. Sarah and I had settled into a comfortable rhythm in our lives, enjoying the stability of our home and the fulfillment of our careers. As we approached our third year together, we found ourselves contemplating the next chapter of our journey. One crisp autumn morning, Sarah surprised me with breakfast in bed, a spread of freshly baked pastries, fruit, and steaming coffee. She had a mischievous sparkle in her eyes as she handed me a small gift-wrapped box. "What's this?" I asked, smiling at her playful demeanor. "Open it and find out," she replied, her excitement palpable. Inside the box was a tiny pair of baby booties. My heart skipped a beat as realization dawned on me. "Are you?" Sarah nodded, tears glistening in her eyes. "I'm pregnant, Ethan. We're going to have a baby." Emotions surged through me, joy, wonder, and a touch of apprehension. But above all, I felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude and love for Sarah and the life we were creating together. I pulled her into a tight embrace, whispering words of love and excitement. In the months that followed, our anticipation grew as we prepared for the arrival of our baby. We transformed the spare room into a nursery, painting the walls a soothing shade of blue and carefully selecting furniture and decor. Each piece was chosen with love and anticipation, creating a warm and inviting space for our little one. Sarah embraced pregnancy with grace and resilience, balancing her work commitments with prenatal appointments and preparations. I cherished every moment, from feeling our baby's first kicks to attending birthing classes together. Our bond deepened as we navigated this new chapter with excitement and gratitude. As Sarah's due date approached, we found ourselves filled with a mix of nerves and anticipation. We attended parenting classes, read books on childbirth and newborn care, and leaned on each other for support and reassurance. Our journey towards parenthood was a shared adventure, strengthening our partnership and deepening our connection. One chilly spring evening, Sarah went into labor. We rushed to the hospital, hearts racing with anticipation. Hours passed in a blur of emotions, fear, excitement, and an overwhelming sense of awe as we welcomed our baby into the world. When the nurse placed our son in Sarah's arms for the first time, tears streamed down both our faces. He was perfect, a tiny bundle of joy who had already captured our hearts. We named him Benjamin, after my grandfather, a name that felt both timeless and meaningful. In the days that followed, we adjusted to the rhythm of parenthood with wonder and exhaustion. Sleepless nights were countered by moments of pure joy. Benjamin's first smile, his tiny fingers curling around ours, and the quiet moments of bonding as a new family. Sarah and I navigated the challenges of parenthood together, supporting each other through late-night feedings, diaper changes, and the roller coaster of emotions that came with caring for a newborn. Our love for Benjamin deepened with each passing day, a testament to the strength of our bond and the joy he brought into our lives. As Benjamin grew, our home was filled with laughter, milestones, and the everyday miracles of parenthood. We celebrated his first steps, his first words, and the boundless curiosity that fueled his exploration of the world around him. Our days were filled with wonder and gratitude, a reflection of the love and happiness that surrounded us. Looking back on our journey, from the challenges we had faced to the joys we now embraced, I felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude. Sarah and I had weathered storms and emerged stronger, our love and resilience guiding us through life's twists and turns. As we watched Benjamin sleep peacefully in his crib, I knew that our journey was far from over. but we were ready to face the future together, with open hearts and a deep-seated belief in the power of love and family. The decision to confront Jack about his betrayal weighed heavily on my mind for days after I had disclosed the truth to our superiors. The fallout from my revelation was swift and unforgiving, sending shockwaves through our workplace and beyond. When Jack was confronted with the evidence of his deceit, his initial denial quickly crumbled. His colleagues and superiors were stunned by the magnitude of his actions, and trust in him evaporated almost overnight. Rumors spread like wildfire, tarnishing his once impeccable reputation. Unable to salvage his career in the wake of the scandal, Jack was ultimately dismissed from his position. The news reverberated throughout our industry, leaving Jack without a professional foothold in the city he once called home. With few options remaining, he made the difficult decision to relocate, seeking a fresh start far away from the consequences of his betrayal. In the aftermath, I wrestled with conflicting emotions: relief at having exposed the truth, guilt over the impact on Jack's life, and a profound sense of disillusionment with someone I had once considered a friend. The experience served as a stark reminder of the complexities of trust and loyalty in the professional world. As time passed, our workplace began to heal from the turmoil caused by Jack's actions. Lessons were learned, and measures were implemented to prevent similar betrayals in the future. While the scars of the incident remained, we emerged stronger as a team, united by a renewed commitment to integrity and accountability. Reflecting on the events that had unfolded, I found solace in knowing that I had acted with integrity and courage, even in the face of adversity. The experience tested my principles and resilience, shaping me into a more discerning and conscientious professional. As I look towards the future, I resolve to continue striving for excellence in my career, guided by the lessons learned from the ordeal. While the road ahead might be uncertain, I embraced the challenges and opportunities that lay ahead, fortified by the strength of my convictions and the support of my colleagues. In the end, the experience with Jack had been a catalyst for personal and professional growth, reinforcing the importance of honesty, transparency, and ethical conduct in every aspect of life. As I closed this chapter of my career, I carried with me a newfound sense of clarity and purpose, ready to face whatever the future held with resilience and determination. The decision to leave behind the city where my professional and personal turmoil had unfolded was not an easy one, but it was necessary for my healing and renewal. With a mix of anticipation and apprehension, I packed my belongings and embarked on a journey to a new city, a place where I could forge a fresh start, unburdened by the shadows of betrayal. Settling into my new surroundings brought a sense of liberation and opportunity. I immersed myself in exploring the vibrant neighborhoods and discovering local cafes and parks that quickly became my havens of solace and inspiration. Each day offered a chance to embrace the unfamiliar and rediscover a sense of joy and purpose. Amid this transformative period, I had the fortune of meeting a remarkable woman named Emily. Her warmth and kindness drew me in, and we soon found ourselves immersed in deep conversations and shared experiences that solidified our connection. Emily's presence in my life brought a sense of comfort and stability, grounding me as I navigated the uncertainties of starting anew. Together, Emily and I explored our passions and ambitions, supporting each other's dreams and aspirations. We embarked on weekend adventures to nearby towns, hiked scenic trails, and indulged in our shared love for culinary explorations. Each moment spent together deepened our bond, affirming that I had found not only a partner but a true companion in life. As our relationship blossomed, I found myself opening up in ways I hadn't before, sharing my past struggles and aspirations for the future. Emily listened with empathy and understanding, offering unwavering support and encouragement as I confronted lingering doubts and insecurities. With Emily by my side, I embraced the opportunity to redefine success on my terms. I pursued new career avenues that aligned with my passions and values, leveraging my experiences and skills to make meaningful contributions in my chosen field. The challenges I faced in my previous career had equipped me with resilience and determination, guiding me towards paths that resonated with a sense of purpose and fulfillment. In the quiet moments of reflection, I marveled at how far I had come since the tumultuous days of betrayal and upheaval. The scars of my past had faded, replaced by a newfound sense of optimism and gratitude for the second chance at happiness that Emily and this new chapter of my life had bestowed upon me. As I looked towards the future, I envisioned building a life filled with love, laughter, and shared dreams alongside Emily. Together, we embraced the possibilities that lay ahead, knowing that our journey was just beginning, and that each step forward was a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the transformative power of love. Several months after settling into my new life, a letter arrived unexpectedly. It was from Lisa, the woman whose betrayal had upended my world. The envelope sat on my kitchen counter for days, untouched, as I grappled with conflicting emotions, curiosity, anger, and a lingering sense of closure that I had fought so hard to achieve. When I finally mustered the courage to open the letter, its contents stirred memories I had tried to bury. Lisa expressed remorse for her actions, acknowledging the pain and devastation she had caused. She sought forgiveness and expressed a desire to talk, to reconcile the past that had driven us apart. Reading her words brought a flood of emotions: anger at the betrayal, sadness for what had been lost, and a twinge of empathy for the person who had once held a place in my heart. But amidst the turmoil, I recognized a sense of detachment, a distance from the past that I had worked so diligently to create. I penned a response, measured and concise. I thanked Lisa for her letter and acknowledged her apology. I expressed my journey toward healing and closure, emphasizing that I had moved on and found peace in my new life. While I wished her well, I made it clear that revisiting the past was no longer an option for me. Sending the letter brought a sense of finality, a closure that I had long sought. It was a reminder of the strength I had gained from facing adversity and the resilience that had guided me toward a brighter future. With Emily by my side and a newfound sense of self-assurance, I embraced the next chapter of my life with gratitude and optimism. As I reflected on the journey that had brought me to this moment, I felt a deep sense of gratitude for the lessons learned and the growth achieved. The scars of betrayal had faded, replaced by a renewed appreciation for the present and a belief in the power of forgiveness, both for others and for myself. With Emily's unwavering support and the love that anchored our relationship, I looked towards the future with renewed hope and determination. Each day was a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the capacity to rise above past hardships, embracing life's challenges with courage and grace. As I set the letter aside, ready to embrace the warmth of Emily's embrace and the promise of tomorrow, I knew that the journey was far from over. But I faced it with a heart full of gratitude for the strength found in letting go and the beauty discovered in new beginnings. The weight of past betrayals and tumultuous relationships had finally lifted from my shoulders. With each passing day in my new life, a sense of satisfaction and freedom grew within me. I had navigated through storms of deceit and heartache, emerging stronger and more resilient on the other side. The journey towards this newfound peace had been arduous, marked by moments of doubt and introspection. Confronting the truth had been painful but necessary for my healing and growth. I had faced my demons head-on, dismantling the toxic dynamics that had once held me captive. With clarity and conviction, I had made peace with the past, releasing the burdens of resentment and anger that had weighed me down. Forgiveness had become a gift to myself, a choice to let go of the pain and embrace the possibilities that lay ahead. In the embrace of Emily's love and understanding, I found solace and strength. Her unwavering support had anchored me through moments of uncertainty, reminding me of the resilience of the human spirit and the transformative power of love. Together we celebrated milestones, small victories that reaffirmed my path toward personal fulfillment and inner peace. Whether it was a promotion at work, a weekend getaway, or simply quiet evenings spent in each other's company, every moment was a testament to the joy found in embracing life's simple pleasures. As I looked toward the future, I embraced the freedom to explore new passions and pursue dreams that had once seemed out of reach. I delved into hobbies that sparked joy and creativity, reconnecting with aspects of myself that had been overshadowed by past struggles. The scars of betrayal had faded into insignificance, replaced by a profound appreciation for the resilience that had carried me through turbulent waters. Each day brought renewed opportunities for growth and self-discovery, a testament to the strength found in letting go and moving forward. In the quiet moments of reflection, I savored the freedom to chart my course, guided by lessons learned and aspirations for the future. The journey taught me the importance of self-love and authenticity, paving the way for a life filled with purpose and fulfillment. With Emily by my side, I knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, I would face them with courage and determination. Our love was a beacon of hope, illuminating the path toward a future brimming with endless possibilities. As I closed this chapter of my life, I carried with me a sense of gratitude for the resilience that had carried me through adversity and the beauty discovered in embracing life's uncertainties. With a heart full of gratitude and a spirit renewed, I embraced the promise of tomorrow, ready to seize every opportunity and savor the freedom that had become my greatest reward.